Hello, friends, and welcome to Binge O'Clock, the podcast where we watch something and then we talk about it. I'm Joy Selden, and I've seen almost everything.
I'm Danielle, and I've seen almost nothing.
I'm Nella, and Kilroy was here.
There it is. That's the way to open this episode. And on that note, we are here to talk today about Fringe Season 5, Episodes 4 through 6.
Yes.
Which were thankfully not as intense as the first three. I feel like they're sort of settling into a rhythm, into a pattern.
A very slow moving rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
You're not
leisurely stroll.
There were some
against fascism.
Fun scenes. There were some fun scenes, I think, that we'll mention when we come across them.
These episodes I always find interesting because they're kind of complicated, which are my favorite episodes. You know, like we get some fun stuff and we get some really unfortunate, painful things. It's one of those things where I think if you're not invested in the characters in season 5, they do okay, but they don't do a really good job of it. Like we're invested in the characters we've been watching since season 1, but we're not really invested in the new characters. So when a new character dies, it's a little bit like, I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah.
So spoilers, we lose Etta in these 3 episodes.
Right. And
for no reason.
Yeah,
well,
I agree with you. I feel like, were we talking about this off the pod or on the pod? It's so hard to keep track.
I know.
But I'm so jaded by this point. We've lost so many people. I didn't feel any, more upset about losing Etta than I did losing Simon. And we knew Simon for all of 7 screen time minutes.
I know.
And it was sad.
I know.
But ultimately,
It's like we get to know Etta in who she is as a rebel fighter.
Right.
Like we get to know her sort of really very surface level, which makes sense because in this world you kind of have to be very surface level and have to kind of, adjust and change with everything. I think we really only get upset when, Peter and Olivia get upset.
Yeah. Kind of the third time we've lost some version of Etta.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is fully it is, right?
It's, well, wait.
Well, no, we lose Henry.
So that's what I meant, like some version of Etta, right?
They lose Etta, when she's lost as a child, and then she dies.
Right.
So we've lost Henrietta 3 times in this show.
Yep.
The kid can't just catch a break.
I know. Well,
and that's not even including the universe where Etta just never exists, right?
Right? Like, okay, so this is a thought I have a lot, and I'm sorry, listeners, we're kind of jumping around. We'll get to a short plot summary, but, I mean, personally, there's really only one episode I really want to talk about with its plot. The other 2 are kind of there. I think the thing about losing Etta is it's just so... If it hadn't been Etta, if it hadn't been their child, and instead if it was like her niece, who she like had to adopt because something happened to her sister, right? Like, I often think about that and like how that emotional, what is her niece's name? Oh God, we haven't seen her in a season and a half and I've totally forgotten
Ella? Am I inventing that?
It is, no, it is? Oh no.
Oh yeah, no, the niece is Ella.
Yeah, like Ella versus Etta, which is why I am constantly confusing the 2 names. Come on, show.
It was definitely Ella.
Yeah.
But like this would have also been the payoff from the previous Grey universe where we had Ella working as a Fringe agent. Like in my brain, this makes character arc sense.
Right.
That we would have been introduced to Ella at some point in this future. But Ella, Ella and her sister and her, nephew, who we literally never meet in the entire show, and neither does Olivia. It's fine. We never see them again.
Yeah.
Right.
And I always felt like there was just this like weird gaping hole of like, you could have thrown us a character who we have met before, who maybe it would be interesting to see how they change and grow into an adult. And it would have been a mirror of what happened at the end of season 3, where Ella was there. Ella was present in their lives. Like, I don't even remember if we find out what happens to them. We may still in this season. I don't remember. But it's annoying. It's just like, thanks for introducing this character that I guess I'm supposed to care about because my ship had a kid.
Yeah.
And then taking her away from me in less than 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Look, was she amazing and like really kind of kick-ass? Sure. I would have liked to have gotten to know her just a little bit better though.
But they actually could have taken that exact same character and just made her Ella.
Exactly.
Like that
and
exact same character.
It.
Quite honestly, that exact same actor, because she did a great job, could have just been Ella. And no, I'm totally with you on that. I think that they wouldn't have had to invent as much because they kept on creating these, or attempting to create these moments between Walter and Etta, where Walter would just tell us, like, hey, remember the time that we blah, blah, blah? But we didn't ever see any of that. And we have seen Walter and Ella interact, so we could have gotten those callbacks instead of just...
right.
Yeah, no. That makes total sense to me. And it would have
meant... I mean, not that it would have meant more, because obviously any character death you should feel sad about, but I just feel like it would have had a bigger impact, because you could have still done exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. You know, like you could have changed very little about her character, and you still could have had her die in the episode in which she dies.
Right.
And it would have just carried so much weight. Anyway, I feel like we've been talking about this too long.
Nah.
I have a lot of opinions about them killing Etta.
It's been less than 4 minutes. We've talked longer about sheep than we have about losing a major character.
Yeah.
What does that say? What does that say about this moment?
Exactly. What does that say about losing Etta? Exactly.
Oh my God.
Okay, okay, no. You go.
This does happen in episode 4. I was reminding myself of that also. Mm-hmm. So this happens in the first episode we watched. And it's kind of like, it's this really sort of confusing, you know, like who's helping the resistance in the Fringe team and, you know, back and forth, and like Windmark and the other observers and trying to find the cracks in the wall, you know, kind of stuff. And, you know, we get to find out that Broyles has a fun nickname.
Yep.
The Dove.
I'm not like sure how I feel about that. I do like that Broyles is getting reintroduced to the narrative, even though it was a little predictable. Like, oh, who could the mole be? I wonder. And then it's Broyles. You're like, yeah of course it's Broyles.
It's like, it's either Broyles or it's Nina. It's one or the other.
I mean, so here's why I like that it's Broyles and not Nina. Because, like, Nina has already kind of admitted that she's really bad at evading being read by the observers. Like, she's already kind of just been like, I can't shut my brain off, you know, like, so I just get angry. which is a perfectly cromulent way. Yeah. But, like, also having an emotional outburst won't necessarily have the observers not pay attention to you, you know?
Right.
So, like, it makes so much sense that it's Broyles, and also because, like, this is the other thing that I like about Etta's relationship to everybody else. Like, Etta herself as a person was difficult to attach yourself to, but she attached herself to so many other characters. Mm-hmm. So you really only experience her character through other people. And, like, she's the one who taught Broyles how to, like, clear his mind and not, you know, and, like, and it took, did he say how long?
A year.
And the Fringe team is like, we were kind of hoping it would just like take an episode and we would be good.
Like Peter in the pawn shop thinking that he could think about baseball, and all of a sudden the observers wouldn't be able to read his minds. Like, come on, Peter.
Yeah.
Friends.
You have to build a more complex labyrinth. You know, they haven't seen, what's the movie I'm thinking of?
Oh.
It doesn't matter.
Inception?
I can't answer that.
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about building a labyrinth that is so complicated that someone else wouldn't be able to find their way out of it. Yep, that's exactly it. He hasn't seen Inception, so I guess he doesn't have the benefit of that knowledge.
He's living Inception, Danielle. He's living in his own mind palace.
I'm just imagining militarizing a chaotic ADHD brain against the observers.
See, that's exactly, you have to build a complex labyrinth that you understand and connects in ways that are meaningful to you, but other people looking at it from the outside You know, that's what you have to do. You can't just think about baseball, Peter.
I mean, an observer tries to reach you and you're just like, you fool. You think you're in my head, but now you're stuck there. It's 20 cats and they're all screaming squirrel.
You're trapped in here with me.
Maybe that was Etta's superpower the whole time, as she was a super high-functioning ADHD person. I was like, I would accept that.
Okay, wait, but going briefly back to Broyles, I think that when the show deals with the characters that we know and love, there are really only a few moments between them that I really enjoy, and one of them is the reunion between Broyles and Olivia.
Yes.
Yeah.
That moment was beautiful.
Did you cry?
No, I did not,
Okay.
but only because I was mildly fed up with the rest of the episode. But when that moment happened, I fully tuned back into the screen, and the way her face just lights up, and she calls him Philip, which you never get to hear her
which
do.
has never happened before.
And he put himself at risk just to see them. I mean, honestly, not a great decision on his part.
I know. Well, I mean, you could technically, if you want to get reductive about it, like, the reason they get caught is because they're meeting him under a bridge. Like, there's the tracker on their car, but, like, they're staying in one place long enough that that's where they get caught. In a lot of ways, though, it did save them from...
Like taking it back to their headquarters where,
yeah, exactly.
You know, something stupid like that.
Yeah, exactly. No, it saved them the trouble of like, and now we're back at our headquarters, and now we can never go back to Harvard because they know exactly where we are, you know. But I thought we checked that spot already. We checked it. It's empty.
I mean, their little that little idea that Olivia had to just re-amber the lab, I thought was one of their better ideas in the show. Also,
No, I agree. I know they made extra work for themselves because then they had to de-amber everything again. But at the same time, it's like, no, actually, that's a really good idea. Oh no, it doesn't matter at all.
I'm not saying
one
anything.
of the other fun things in episode 4 is the distractions they create. I think.
Yes.
How did we feel about that as a callback?
Who would have thought I'd be cheering for that dumb gas that closes every orifice on the human body?
Who'd have thunk?
Meanwhile, Nella's like, you know, the following episodes and all this other stuff. It's like, was it a one and done? That was a great idea. Where is it? Did you put it back on the shelf? Did you only make 6 canisters?
I kind of love that they stick it in like a marshmallow shooter.
I know.
Yeah, like a t-shirt gun or whatever.
Like a t-shirt cannon. Like, well, it's so weird. No, but yeah, like definitely, like it's great to see. I mean, just the whole when he started handing them the menthol to put under the nose, and they're going into like the secret cache underneath the lab, and I'm just like, ooh, how many dead bodies are? Oh, I was only joking about the dead bodies, and yet here we are. And then we find out where Walter hid all of the remains from all the Fringe events. And there's my favorite, Porcupine Man. And Walter's like, oh, it's my Porcupine Man.
The whole body just lying there in cold storage.
In cold storage.
I mean, at least he thought ahead enough to be like, put some menthol under your nose. I don't know how righteous this is going to get. You know?
I mean, it has been cut off from power for I don't know how long.
20-odd years.
So, I mean, and that, honestly, without power, I seriously question the state of everything organic down there, unless it was floating in formaldehyde.
Fair.
I have questions.
The cellar aspect, keep it
not
cold?
that cold.
Well, so my question was...
It's not like Boston's got permafrost.
How long does it take before everything is so desiccated it no longer even smells?
That's a very good question. I think you'd still end up with a very organic, musty smell. But like a gross, like decomposing smell, I think would be long gone. Unless it was incredibly humid down there. So you got 2 ways. Like, is it humid or is it dry? If it's dry, it's going to desiccate. It's going to be musty, but you're not going to have the decomposition. I can't believe I swear jar. Know this. Okay. So But if it's like moist,
you're a resident. I know dead things.
If it's moist, then what you're dealing with, it's like when you like try to excavate an old privy. It's pretty foul, you know. Like if things stay moist, it's then you get sludgy. Mm-hmm. Like if there was something moist in a body bag that they kept in cold storage and then they lost the cold storage, that's like soup now in a bag. Yeah.
Like our porcupine person.
Do not recommend.
To be fair, our porcupine person was just kind of there on a slab, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. I don't know if he did anything to preserve the porcupine man.
Put him in cold storage.
Well, okay, now wait a minute. I'm trying to remember which, because we had the porcupine man twice. I'm trying to remember what they did the second time. Because if it would have been a full-on autopsy, he probably would have removed the organs and put them into things.
Yeah, but then you put after you measure all the organs, you put them back in. You put the organs back in the body cavity if you're doing a real autopsy. You don't leave the bits lying around like you're a goddamn Egyptian priest from the old kingdom.
But my point is, like, the body was also, like, harder than the average human body. Mm-hmm. Like, it was already, I don't know if it was the rigor mortis or, like, the actual changing of the DNA, but it was, like, already... Because in the first season, it's like a burnt-up crisp of a monster.
Right.
Oh,
which makes sense that it's like, oh, okay, you kind of roll it around and it's like, it's basically firewood at that point, right? Like, this one shouldn't have been. No. But it was still, like, difficult to cut into the body, if I remember.
I think because of the skin, like porcupine skin.
Yeah. Hold up, hang on.
Not porcupine skin.
Have normal
like, swear jar skin. No, like the monster, not the porcupine man skin, because they had mixed the porcupine with all kinds of
armadillo.
Things.
Like what?
It could have been.
Then how did the quills? Like okay, like look, you can't have. Like, no, I have to push back on this. All right, whoever designed this is a monster because you can't. William Bell, I need to talk to you. You can't have spikes growing out of an exoskeleton.
Not an exoskeleton. I just remember, like, during some of the fight scenes when the porcupine man was taking a hit, he could, like, really take a hit.
He could really take a hit. He had, like, armor.
Fine, but again, like, to me, that seems like a bad evolutionary thing to do when one of the things you do is grow spines out of your skin. Like,
you're not wrong. The dumbest design, yes.
Here it is.
Here it is. I mean, let's remember they also mixed it with, what was it, bat? To give it wings?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Which means you have incredibly fragile bones, my friend, and I know I've pointed that out before.
You have. I blocked out the second porcupine men because I prefer the first porcupine men. I thought the first porcupine men were cool.
All right, look. Okay, let's say he had, like, the porcupine man does have incredibly thick. Already, you're going to have the keratin from the spines itself, so those aren't going to decompose. Those are going to stay as is. And, you know, they might even stay in the skin even though it desiccates because, like, it's not as fragile. Or maybe if you did move it, they might fall out. Fine. Mm-hmm. Like, but the skin might get really leathery. But you're still going to have a drying out if it's those kind of conditions. I can't believe we spent this much time talking about this. And Etta is lying there dead in the warehouse with a bomb tucked into her arm.
No, but, they had the characters of the show walk us into cold storage that was full of old Fringe cases. They had to know that this would be something fans would sink their teeth into.
Yeah.
I am in agreement with you. I do wish that this would come up a little bit more in subsequent episodes.
Right?
Like, what else could we have seen?
Nella said this, and I think we were watching we were watching episode 5, the next one, where they're talking about, like, the black hole theory and all of that stuff. And Nella was just like, where's the stuff that closes every orifice? You literally could have just brought, like, it works on observers. It works on loyalists. You tested it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, listen, TV-wise, if they wanted a different visual gimmick, there's literally 3 seasons chock full of other horrifying things they could have chosen. Just pick a different horrifying thing per episode. Murder butterflies. I would take murder butterflies.
Somewhere the ghost of David Robert Jones is like, you see, it has its uses.
Yeah, right. Like a freaking like Igor or something.
Yeah.
Like, taking care of the monsters in the basement. Yeah, I actually, do you want to talk about that bomb tucked under the arm? Look, they were distraught, Nella.
I'm just saying, next time tuck the bomb under the tailbone or in the jacket, and then maybe Windmark won't
is
get
our
away.
big bad.
I know he's our big bad. I know we're stuck with Windmark until the bitter, bloody end. I know that.
Doesn't make... Why is he our big bad, though? Because I feel like when the big bad is fascism and a big fascist government, we don't really need one big bad. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the whole thing would continue running even if Windmark died.
Yeah,
Isn't that how these things work?
Yeah,
precisely. I get well, yes. In theory.
It depends on how it goes down, of course. Like, if this were a bunker situation, then probably not. But by that point, you've whittled down the fascist state so hard that people are, there's no leadership that really set it. Like, there's not really leadership that can set into that failed state. Meanwhile, if you're looking at the authoritarianism of Stalinism, then somebody can fill the shoes, so to speak.
I don't know.
Did you think you'd be talking this much about fascist regimes?
No,
or did you just know?
I really didn't.
And he's not even like a super special, super powered observer, because he's not the only one who can read people. He's not the only one who can explode people's minds. He's not the only one who can move at superhuman speed. I don't even know what really makes him super special.
Well, so here's what I find interesting. I think, because I think in this same episode, we're introduced to another observer who can do this.
Yeah.
Who can, read.
Yeah.
Because it's not terribly clear that every observer has this power.
No.
So I still think it's certain observers have certain strengths and other ones don't. Mm-hmm. I think Windmark is a very obvious top tier something in this regime. I don't know if he's running the whole thing. I don't know if he's the grand poobah of the entire plan and he reports directly to the head poobah observer. I don't know. Look, we know precious little about Windmark, but every single thing that we've found out has been passed through Windmark. So the idea that he's running the entire, fascist state isn't too far-fetched. But you're right. If you remove him, does that really do anything? It's not like he's running the show. It's more like he's steering the ship.
Yeah. But someone else could step in, take his place, I think. And I
someone
think
else
also,
could step in.
And it's not the sort of, they haven't set up a society where he is seen as the father of whatever nation this is, right? Because it's not his face that's all over the propaganda posters. It's just other random observers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
There isn't that, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the noun for to revere someone.
Oh.
I am having trouble today, audience.
I think we all have our off days.
There isn't that reverence. Yes, no, you're
okay.
right. There isn't that reverence for him, which is why I think he's replaceable, or part of why I think he's replaceable. So now we're solidly in episode 5, I think, an origin story, which is the episode where Peter and the crew are trying to disrupt a shipment.
Yep,
I wish I could make it sound more exciting, but I can't. That is, in fact, what's happening in this episode.
I just need to take a moment, though, with because this is after Etta dies and Peter's sort of ghosting in her apartment, and Liv finds him there. And I swear to God, how is her apartment not under constant surveillance? And the weird the weird laziness. I don't know how else to describe it. The observers are so lazy. So they identified Etta.
Yep.
But they don't search her apartment.
Yes.
For clues.
And they know that Etta is not only one of the leaders of the resistance, but also Peter and Olivia's daughter. Or
Yeah.
no, because yes, Windmark reads her mind and he sees that in her mind and then he escapes. And then he does that whole thing where like, oh, it's love. They would go back for her, you know? Oh, he understands this human thing. If he understands that they would go back for her, he should understand that they would go back to her apartment.
Yeah, or that, you know, something that like people aren't able to walk away from that kind of connection, or even just down to like, if modern policing can figure out you have an illegal marijuana growing operation in your house based on whether or not there's snow on your roof after a snowstorm, or because of how much electricity your house is sucking up, and the observers can't figure out that there's a giant energy signature in the middle of an abandoned lab because of the laser they're using. Like, are they really like the things they habitually overlook and ignore for the sake of the story is really annoying to me. And it's just like, I wish this were some sort of commentary on how fascism is actually incredibly lazy once it's in power. Like, but I don't trust that the story actually is that deep.
You don't trust that the writers are doing this on purpose.
we do get an observer being like, a full-on Loki, how could a ant make a difference to a boot or whatever it is he says.
I know. That stupid thing. And also, we only have facial recognition when we need to, like, up the stakes, but not always. Like, and that's in episode 6 that we need to get to. Like, so we do have facial recognition in this society. Mm-hmm. But not when you're actually, you know who these people look like, and you're not actively looking for them. You're not actively surveilling for the people trying to overthrow you.
You would think you would search her apartment and find those bombs that Peter finds.
Right?
Like, you would think those would be gone by then.
That full secret compartment of weapons. Ugh.
Although I do love it when he's like, that's my girl.
And look, maybe we can play it that the observers think so little of the resistance that it's like, oh, one person's dead. Well, inconsequential, but that's not how they're depicted at all.
Yes,
like, they do feel like the resistance is a problem, actually.
Like, it's annoying that they simultaneously don't seem to care too much about the whatever the ants are up to, right? And that they're so careless in their investigating. But at the same time, Windmark shows up every time one of these fringe agents shows up.
I guess Windmark literally has nothing else better to do. No, he must literally have nothing else better to do in this future.
I love that you two said that at the same time. Don't you have anything better to do?
He's
the title of this episode.
Windmark is that micromanaging middle manager that has to like answer to the people on the other side of the portals.
No, but like that's also why. Okay, so
and PMRs are coming up. Like,
well, that's why he's so miserable. You know what? Didn't Broyles say that to him in the prequel of this season? Didn't Broyles say to him, like, what did you do? What did you do in the future that you ended up with this job?
But then, so say this is like sending some Goomba to like the boonies because like they're awful and you're trying to get them to quit or something. So you're trying to make them absolutely miserable. Like the teacher you send to like the room in the basement or but like if the whole point of coming to the past is so that you can continue to live a life without having to make any changes to the very things that destroy the world you're from, and you can just keep on keeping on, then why send Windmark if you're trying to punish him when your survival hinges on the success of this plan? Why Windmark then? So and again, are you trying to have it both ways? Where it's like, this is actually like an awful job and like no one wants it, so we gave it to Windmark? Or is it actually important? Or is he actually important?
But also, like, what do you really need to do to succeed at this plan? Right? Because to succeed at this plan, all that needs to happen is the humans need to survive, right? Because the humans need to survive in order for the future to take place. Like, I know that we already talked about this. We don't have to perseverate on it. But then again, like, then why are you here at all? Why are you here at all? Just don't even... You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know. And also the acceptable losses of, like, shortening the past human's lifespan to 45 and that being fine, I guess. Mm-hmm. You know? Like, it just
because then what does that mean for future for you?
Yeah.
I guess nothing.
I guess all these choices would make more sense to me if not only they had come from the future, but that the observers had crossed over into an alternate universe that otherwise had no ties to their own creation, you know? And then therefore they could just absolutely go tits up nuts, like, about this entire scenario because there was no risk to them involved, to their own creation and survival.
And then they would just be there for fun because they're evil.
Just for funsies?
Because where they're from is falling apart and it isn't fun. So, but we're not going to fix it. We're just going to keep consuming until this also is unsustainable.
Right,
because they're that.
But then they should just blow up all the people's heads.
Right?
Or something.
Yeah, but then who are you going to bother in your observer nightclubs, Danielle?
Right?
So true. We need someone under our heel.
I feel like the observers are just like cosplaying humans in like Westworld.
Yes, but that's what I said last time. Like, this world should be more fun than it is if that's the reason they're here. I don't know. What do you think is the likelihood that there were some show writers in Fringe that had this very circular discussion 20 times?
Well, I mean, you know, it's interesting because you don't want, like, they don't want the humans who are still here having fun, right?
No, but I mean, it should be fun for the observers.
No, but it should be fun for the observers. And I don't know that the observers understand a concept of fun.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the things I like about Windmark as a villain, is because he has emotions that the other observers do not. You know, like, he gets that little smile on his face, and he derives joy from, like, the harm he puts other people through, and, like, very obviously too. Like, he likes reading people. He likes finding out what they're hiding. You know, I think Windmark is having a great time.
But he's one of what? 3 observers we know that stuck around long enough to catch feelings?
I guess. Yeah. He's he's number 3. I think I said it while we were watching it because I was just like, man, if Etta had come across anybody other than Windmark, she probably could have survived the encounter. Like, and the fact that I think about Windmark like that makes him the ideal antagonist for the show, in my opinion. Like, Nella was even saying, you know, I should have kept a tally of how many observers we've just killed. Because, like, they kill a ton in these episodes alone. Like, the bomb in the building, like, goes off and takes, like, a whole, like, 5 or 6. The powder, the gaseous powder takes out, I don't know, maybe 10. Like, they take out a ton of observers in just these few episodes.
Yeah.
But of course, they're all over the world. They're all over the globe. Like, they still don't outnumber modern day humans, but they're definitely not calling them natives. I feel like I have to wash everything every time I say that. I just don't like it.
Show writers.
I don't like it. But yeah, he gives me the impression of being a very, and like, maybe that's why he's the one in charge, because he has these inclinations. Are they good for him? Probably not.
Right.
Because somebody in a role like that, having feelings like those, is bound to fall apart. Which is another reason I like it, because it's like, what a good villain, right? Like, he's not supposed to have, like, look at the observer that we get in season 5, who's like strapped down to a table and like plays Peter like a freaking fiddle. You know, he's able to just like, oh, you come from a place of emotions, and I just don't care.
Right. The observer who's watching a fly.
The observer
my
was watching a
pupils were
fly.
randomly dilating.
Although look, I still maintain if he put together the thing wrong, it shouldn't have opened Jack. Like, what did it open into? Like, what a second of the first pocket dimension we come into contact with, and therefore it didn't create a black hole on the other side. I could have sworn the observer was just going to be like, they just recovered, dude. They're going back in time. Who cares? So a black hole happened, and then in another 10 years, they set up another convoy to come back. Like, who cares?
Right, right.
Because time travel wibbly wobbly. But no, instead he's like, I was watching a fly.
Time travel wibbly wobbly, nothing really matters. But yeah, no, I think that in that situation, my read on that observer is possibly that he is also an observer who has feelings, and the feeling he has is his ego is bruised. You know, he seems to be kind of a prideful observer and didn't really like the idea that Peter one-upped him. And then, of course, we get MurderPeter.
He's back, baby.
MurderPeter!
Boo, yeah.
Who wanted this? Who asked for it? I don't know. But here he is. Not only is Peter willing to destroy possibly an entire world, I'm not really sure, because I guess if they had blown up their side of the portal and the other side had become a black hole and whatever was on the other side had gotten sucked into the black hole, he could have killed a lot of people. But he also tortures this observer and then kills the observer and then takes the tech from the observer's nape.
Yep.
And puts it in his own. Peter.
Yeah, it desperately wants to be in a neck too. That was some really good
prop stuff.
Prop effects. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
CGI,
I loved
whatever
that
you wanted.
part.
Whatever it was good.
That one was not CG. That was definitely what's it called? When it's a special effect, but
you built it?
Practical.
Okay.
Yes.
It was a really good practical effect where I'm pretty sure they just had like a string and pulled it through something that looked like a neck. And I was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It gets me every time. And then it's in the last time on in the first sequence for episode 6. And I was like, not again.
No, that was a great little scene. It's like right up there with the jelly donut that Walter licks in episode 5.
Yes.
Or 4. Well, you're just like, ew. Why?
Why did you touch it? Why?
And then you ate off of it.
And
it's still spongy.
And you tasted it. Why?
Because
that's why.
He's Walter.
I know, but
yes, because he's Walter. Jelly donut.
He should have had some consequences from that. I'm just saying, it was 21 years on a dish hooked up to like electrodes or something weird. Like, it was weird. Anyway.
Is episode 6 the episode that you really wanted to talk about?
Yes.
Okay, we're here. Episode 6. We've arrived.
So I really love episode 6, which I believe is Through the Looking Glass. What Walter
found there. Really, just so unnecessarily long.
I know. What a very, very long title. It doesn't even show up completely in my, like, when I search for it. It's like a bit, dot. Like, this is the Doctor Who episode that I really like, which is like, and you're trapped in an alternate dimension and you're trying to find your way out, but there's something pursuing you. Or, you know, and the like the hallways that don't make sense. We should talk about one more plot thing at the end of episode 5, which is, you know, Walter finds a tape of one of Etta's birthdays and gives it to Olivia to watch and telling her to watch it with Peter so that they can, like, remember who they are as a couple and be stronger because of it. And I think that's, like, in a really important moment for Walter because he lost his son. Like, this Walter went 20 some odd years without having a son because his son died twice, you know. And I think it's, I don't know, it means something coming from Walter, I think. But yeah, so he gives her this tape of Etta's birthday and is like, this is going to be absolutely horrendous to watch, but it's something that I think is very important for you and Peter to watch because it's how, you know, it's how you were with Etta. It's who you are as as a couple and how you support each other and how good you were.
Now, of
together.
course, important also to that is that Olivia watches the home video.
She does.
But
she eventually, I don't even remember why. She just kind of pops it in there.
She does. She decides to sit down and watch it, but she doesn't do it with Peter.
That's
what's happening when Peter is inserting the tech into his nape. So
exactly.
So Walter wanted it to be this moment where the two of them could come back together, and it really doesn't materialize in that way.
Exactly. Well, because we also spend the entire episode with them doing what they've done, what we've been told that happened the last time Etta disappeared, which was Peter, wouldn't let go and would try and find her at all costs and would stay the course. And Olivia drowned herself in her work, and that's just what they did.
And then they drift apart not so slowly.
Not so slowly. Well, what I like about that is that it ends with Olivia calling him and just being like, I just want you to come home.
Yeah.
Like, I want you here, and we'll figure it out, but I want you here, and I want to sort this out,
Yeah. It's so sad, though.
I know.
Did I need this? Did I need Olivia to be in Peter's arms, asking him to just include her?
I know.
In his emotional life? I just,
Yeah, that's the opening of episode 6.
That is the opening of episode 6.
Yeah, which I absolutely despise. I hate it so much. I have a theory as to why he was watching the voicemail.
Uh-huh.
Because I think he's trying to understand how the tech in the base of his nape works. And I think he was watching it again and again. But it's not like we're told. That's just my headcanon. It's not like we're told how it works. I think he's trying to figure out how everything works and how it's integrating into his life. You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to see patterns, but it's like the patterns aren't there yet. They don't present themselves yet. So he's just like trying to make the patterns happen.
I like that read on it because I think it meshes with what happens in the rest of that episode, which is, Olivia walks into the apartment and thinks he's having this super emotional moment where he's watching this voicemail over and over, and I wish he would just included me in this, but maybe it's not actually an emotional moment for him at all.
Yeah. He spends the episode, I don't want to say he's manipulating Olivia, but he spends the episode having these emotions that don't look genuine. Like, when nobody's watching, his face goes blank, which is not like Peter, like Peter runs away, but like when Peter is emotionally invested, he's emotionally invested,
Very much so. And he's very brusque with Walter in this episode in a way that we haven't really seen him interact with Walter since probably season 1.
Although he does call him dad towards the end. But again, like,
I think that was a front. I think
fake.
he just did it because he knew that Walter would like that.
I know. But that's the reason I wanted to make sure we brought that up, because it's like that is the divergence of where these two characters are going. Like, Olivia thinks she's working on this with Peter and like trying to save this relationship. And even she looks at him and is like, I think something's wrong, but he's just not talking to me about it.
Something's up.
And Peter is just gonna continue to be MurderPeter for an unfortunate number of episodes. So strap in.
But going back to tape number 7, because tape number 7 is important.
God, I love tape number 7. So tape number 7 is like Walter doesn't sleep and like continues on the amber and unambers this tape, and he watches it, and it's essentially a fetch quest.
Yes.
So he goes to the place, but like the tape stops somewhere in the middle, but he goes to the place and like he does all the things and he ends up in this pocket dimension. And like he didn't realize that the tape would have continued if he had actually brought it with him and continued to watch it. Which is something the Fringe team finds out after, which I thought was great. I was like, that's the Doctor Who nonsense I love.
I love it. And,
It's
and
so
it sets
good.
up a really good moment as well with this, like, things not working in one universe that because they're from the other one. Oh, yeah, it's very, very good. Well done.
It's so good. Like, this episode is well, obviously it's my favorite of the ones we've watched, but it might be close to the top of my favorite for the entire season. It sets up a lot. Like, we get to see the child again.
Right.
We know he's important to the plan somehow. We see Donald, sort of. We see the back of Donald again. I got really excited because I was like, oh no, maybe we find out more about Donald. And I was like, no, I thought we'd find out a little bit more. Never mind, maybe it's coming.
That eye line that proved that Walter was talking to a third person in that video was a great little reveal.
Right?
And then, of course, there's poor Cecil.
I know.
Ooh, Cecil.
Like, that's the only thing I didn't like about this episode is because inevitably someone always has to die in a Doctor Who episode, and Cecil, you drew the short straw.
Yeah, you did.
He was stuck in there for what he thought was 5 days, and it was really 21 years. And it was like, man, he could have just gotten out and seen his wife and maybe his kid. Did he have a kid? He was like, I have a wife. And Walter was like, not anymore.
Right? I don't know. Yeah, definitely a wife. Definitely a wife.
Definitely a wife. Oh man, I felt so bad.
I know.
I was like, he even figured out how to like collect water,
right,
and survive in this place. Like,
and if only he had just accidentally walked through the portal. Because another one of my like a tiny fun moment that I did like, that I also liked in this episode, is when they're exiting the portal and Walter tries to go through his fancy dance steps again, and Peter's like, "Nah, man," and just pushes him through the portal.
Yeah,
shoves him.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Nella brought up the great, like, well, can't Peter see it? And I was trying to play off the, well, maybe he's still figuring out his tech. And then I was like, no, he can see it.
No, he can see it.
He could see
there it is. There it was.
There it is. I love the pocket dimension. Like, I love a weird thing like that where it's like, and then there's these hallways, and who knows if gravity is working right, and you might be walking on the ceiling, and all the pipes are exposed, and it's like, it's just
it's very
so much fun.
Back rooms of Reddit. Truly.
Exactly.
It's so good. Just so atmospheric. And then back to that setup and payoff, just as they're fleeing the pocket universe, because of course the observers can also see the rift very easily as well and enter it easily. And as they're fleeing back into the normal universe, Liv tries to fire upon an observer and the gun's not working. But by going, it's very touchy. And then she drags the observer, falling back into our universe. And then she's able to shoot the observer. And but it's very tense. It was super good.
Yes.
It was such a good moment.
Yeah, that whole fight scene / chase scene was pretty fantastic. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was alluding to at the top of the episode, where I think that there are parts of these 3 episodes that drag and are slow. But I think that these 3 episodes had a better sampling of exciting moments like that than the first 3 episodes that we saw.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. The first 3 episodes did not do a very good job of establishing not conflict, but like the dire situation that everyone finds themselves in. We were just sort of told to accept a thing, right? Like, and they just didn't do a very good world establishing job, in my opinion, for the future. and it's hard to reestablish that 4 or 5 episodes in, you know. And having a chase like this in a pocket dimension was like pretty great.
Yeah, pretty great. These are the hijinks we signed up for. You know, this is the fringe we want.
Exactly. And, you know, the end of the episode shows that Peter's powers are growing. And
he knows becoming an observer?
He knows Kung Fu.
He can move at the speed of an observer.
Yeah, yeah.
He starts seeing the world in a different way. He finds his way back to the portal somehow so he can navigate all those Escher-like hallways.
The idea that a human being would be able to put their hands on an observer and snap his neck was really good. They didn't establish a lot, but like being able to touch an observer felt like
But I also like the observer reaction to that, which is, oh, you did that.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
No, that whole fight sequence is great because it's just, you know, like he gets a couple of punches and then he gets punched a couple of times and he's blocking maybe half of the blows. And then he blocks like 75%. And then he's able to block all of them and the observer is just like, but
and then it clicks and he realizes, what Peter has done. At which point we get MurderPeter again.
Yes.
And we get MurderPeter again. I is it weird that I prefer this MurderPeter?
Over which MurderPeter?
Over the previous MurderPeter. Over the MurderPeter who was murdering shapeshifters.
Yeah.
Because the shapeshifters were like humanized right before we found out that he was murdering them.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
they
fair.
decided to humanize the shapeshifters immediately before he went on a rampage. And I was like, okay, see, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If it's going to be a monster, let it be a monster. But like, don't do this. Don't humanize them just because we're supposed to feel bad that he's turned MurderPeter. You know,
Yeah.
I hate to say that murder is justified in any sense of the word, but for his character's opinion of the world and the current world we're watching in season 5, this one makes quote unquote a lot more sense. Like,
yeah.
The observers, like, yes, you've known some nice observers, but these ain't them. So maybe you could
explicitly
take a couple
not.
out.
Almost like a different species. Also, they just killed his daughter. Also, he's losing.
Windmark specifically killed his daughter.
Specifically killed his daughter.
So it's not even like it's one of those like everybody in the service of Windmark must die. You know, like,
Though it is
which
a bit
again
like
makes sense. And yeah. This one feels at least a little more fleshed out. Like, oh, you had a reason. As opposed to Peter just deciding that he wanted to find out more about the shapeshifters, so he just went on a murder rampage. Like, I don't even remember what the reason was last time.
I could scroll up and find out, but I don't care to. There was for sure a reason.
Okay, look, I know the show has always played fast and loose with distance and travel time. and the back and forth between New York and Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But so help me God, they actually, like, Peter is in New York and he's like, I'm at 86 and Lex, and then it's determined that, this shipment's gonna drop in 30 minutes, and Liv is in the lab, and then Liv's in New York.
Already set up and ready to go.
Ready to go.
Resistance fugitives. And she gets to New York in 30 minutes from Boston, from Harvard. And it's just egregious. It's absolutely egregious. Like, we've established, like even taking out of the equation, like, let's say that they do have high-speed rail fast enough to do that. Like, sure, fine. Like, again, then it's just like the problem of the laziness of the surveillance state, where in the Newark, Pennsylvania train station, there's a checkpoint that they had to figure a workaround for. But no, you can get from Harvard to New York 30 minutes or less.
By car, I guess.
By something, without having to worry about checkpoints. It's so lazy. It's so awfully just, like, I am ashamed. I am ashamed for whoever wrote this part.
Shame
on you. Shame on you. Where are the stakes? Anyway.
That might as well be the subtitle for season 5. Where are the stakes?
And also, I'm putting in now, this episode should be called 30 Minutes from Boston.
That's good, though. That's good. That's a good
30 minutes
I like
from Boston. That. Do you have one more thing, Joy? Should I go?
Mine is pretty quick. I like Windmark playing with the Simon game.
Yeah.
I like Windmark picking up the Simon game and like playing with it, and Broyles walks in and he just looks up at him, and like the lights are flashing against his face as he continues playing. There was something weirdly charming about it.
And he's so good at the Simon game.
He's so
of
good
course
at the
he
Simon
would be.
game.
Hilarious.
But yeah, that's it. That one's mine.
Okay. Mine is, I don't know if mine is quick or not, but I think in addition to the reunion between Broyles and Olivia that I liked as a character interaction in these 3 episodes, another character moment I enjoyed was Walter right at the end of episode 6. Where Walter is reflecting on his behavior over the course of that episode. You know, he was up all night unambering this video, or this tape. He watched the video, and then he just went off and explored the pocket universe without telling anyone what he was about to do. Or
he was
how
careless.
Or how he just completely disregarded Cecil as a person.
Yeah.
And used Cecil instead of helping Cecil. And what Walter realizes is that he's becoming evil Walter. And so in kind of an interesting moment for the two characters, he begs Peter to stop him before he turns evil, not realizing, of course, that Peter is also on his own path to evil.
MurderPeter.
MurderPeter.
Yeah. I like that moment too. There's something really nice about that because I think also you can see that like Peter is still genuinely trying to listen, but he's already like too deep in calculation.
Yes,
right? Like
exactly.
The connection isn't quite there. Of course, Walter, you know, like careless Walter was always something to like look out for too anyway. Like, you know, this is a thing we've seen basically whenever he's not brain damaged, which
interesting.
I have opinions. But usually it's like whenever he gets his self-confidence, it's like all of a sudden he becomes careless.
Right.
Which I think is a very interesting character flaw. It's like the hubris problem.
Yes, careless because he's overconfident in himself, right? He's arrogant.
I like that as Walter, like as a character flaw that he struggles with. I like that we didn't just abandon Cecil. Like I like that somebody kind of mourns him at the end of that, you know? Of like, was he, you know, sort of lost to time anyway? Like, who knows if his family is even still alive? Who knows if they, you know, like any of that. Like, no one else has to mourn him, but the people who obviously know what happened to him should feel bad.
Yes.
And he does. He genuinely does. I do also like Peter calling him dad. Even though I know it was like
calculated.
Even if it was calculated, I liked it. Walter needed it. Walter needed it. Fight me.
Okay. Did we do it?
We did. We did.
So.
Okay.
Halfway through season 5. Woo.
Halfway through season 5. Woo! Okay, listeners, we would love to hear from you. Please check us out at Binge O'Clock Pod on Twitter and Facebook, where you can answer the question, what is your random thought of choice when faced with a mind reader? You can also email us at bingeoclockpod@gmail.com, and don't forget, we have a Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/BachPod.
That's right. And tell your friends, tell your family, tell your loved ones, tell the live lobsters in your life about Binge O'Clock, and we will see you next time.
I would just like take everything from the our flag means death Discord, like everything, all the headcanons, all the brain rot, everything, and just have that. I would just think of nothing but queer pirates on the open seas. That's
And then the defense really is when the observer is like, what is our flag means death? And you could fangirl at them until they run away.
Yes. Precisely.
That's amazing. I already know so many annoying songs from children's things when I was a kid. Also like foreign children's things, which are ridiculous and annoying and earworms. And so I could just be like, this thing that you'll never be able to find because it was from a tiny Japanese cartoon in like 1980. And you'll never be able to find it. And I will just get this song stuck in your head. Until you leave me alone.
You leave me alone. I love that.
There's literally a song from a Jack and the Beanstalk cartoon that I remember that mice sing. The only word of it is chew. And I would literally just sing it over and over again on repeat. I would.
Until their ears start bleeding.
Exactly. Exactly. What would you do, Danielle? Would you just...
Okay. I think that this is my arrogance speaking. Not arrogance, per se. But I think that I would actually be better at completely dissociating and emptying my brain than filling my brain with things.
That's a good point.
I think I could just...
What if you just checked out and was a big old void?
Yeah, I think that I could, because I'm very good at that. That's my game plan.
No, that's pretty solid. I think you would scare a couple of observers with that. I think that's pretty good.
What's going on in there?
What's happening? And the deeper they go, there's nothing.
There's just nothing. Joke's on you. I'm empty-headed.
And it's empty all the way down. No.